Okay, so let's talk our hero, our stud on the team, the shining light of the Toronto Blue Jays since he was brought up in 2019, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., interestingly enough, came out after being asked. One thing to keep in mind is that it's not like this was done as a play on his part. He was asked if he would consider an extension. And Vladdy was very open about it. In fact, the most open he's been about an extension since he came into the league. He was asked straight up, and he said along the lines that he really loves Toronto. He enjoys playing baseball in this city, and he would be very open to an extension, and that hopefully something can get done over the offseason. Which, again, is the first time we've heard that sort of thing vocalized from Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Who had the cojones to ask him that? Do you know?
Hector Gomez.
Hector Gomez. Well done, Hector.
Hector's also the guy who said that J-Ram is coming to Toronto. Hector was the one who broke the George Springer news. So Hector's...
Look, Hector loves attention.
He loves attention.
Right? And kudos to him. I would love some of that attention. I don't have the cojones to play gotcha journalism like that. Like, it is kind of a shitty question to ask right now out of the blue. Like, it's just...
That is one thing to keep in mind, because what's Vladdy supposed to say?
That's the thing, is like he really only has two options, right? Because the third option of not interested in an extension, that is like nuclear. That's the nuclear option, right?
Yes.
So it's either like, even
if he wanted out of Toronto, he wouldn't do it.
Exactly, right? His agent would kill him. But yeah, it's either, I'm open to it, or look, I'm not talking contract. That's something for my agent to deal with, and I'm not a part of that, right? So those are the only two options. But even the non-answer, to have to give that in the middle of September in a playoff race while you're slumping, and your best friend Bo Bichette is on an absolute heater.
Mm-hmm.
How could you ever say no comment other than to say, yeah, I love it here. This is great. Like, you're just trying to focus on ball. Like, I don't know. So it kind of feels like a non-story, even though it is one. I'm annoyed that we're talking about it.
I feel the same way. And let's even take this one step further, because there's a lot of talk about when this was announced, a lot of Blue Jays fans got excited, and they were like, yes, this is the time, especially now that he's having a down season.
Right.
But I just want to let everyone out there know, if you're thinking we're going to get a bargain on Vladimir Guerrero Jr. because he's only playing baseball above average instead of out of this world, there's a wake-up call coming. There is no way this man considers an extension for anything less than $350 million. It's going to need to be a 10-year deal. Maybe he'd do 12. It's a mega deal. There's no in between. This is not going to be one of those scenarios where, we wound up. We're not going to get a Wander Franco deal in this. It's not happening. And I know there's a lot of people, too, that are constantly upset with how Vladdy has been playing this year. He hits so many ground balls, and he has. He has been hitting a lot of ground balls. Okay? But one thing that does give hope, and should give hope to everyone, even though I know that I'm as sick as hearing this as everyone else, his exit velo on those ground balls are ridiculous. And if you look what he did in 2021, when he was second in MVP voting and really would have won the MVP had it been for any other time in baseball other than when King Shohei is on the scene, right?
Look, if there wasn't a pandemic shortened season in 2020 and Shohei Otani had that spectacular unicorn season a year earlier for the first time and all the novelty that came with it, he probably would have just won it last year. Like, we're seeing the same thing with Aaron Judge. I'm not saying that Aaron Judge is having a spectacular season, so maybe this is an unfair comparison. But I think that that's a part of why he lost out on that MVP, to be frank. Is just the fact that it hadn't been done before, and now it has been done before. Sure, by the same guy, but it's a little less crazy.
And Vladdy might not be able to correct his swing this season with only 2.5 weeks left. He's still an incredibly valuable player. He's still a way above average MLB player. But the fact that he's already showed at 22 years of age what he can do, and now that he's 23, his slumping season, by the way, is still we're going to see him hit 30 bombs. We should see him hit 100 RBIs, maybe not quite. We are still going to see an OPS over 800. You know, all of the things that check, yes, all-star, Vladdy's doing right now in a down season. And I think because of how young these guys were when they came up, we're a little desensitized to these guys. Like, I think it is worth noting that Adley Rutschman, who is the shining star for the Baltimore Orioles, and he's a stud. He's going to be an all-star perennial for years to come for that team. He's 24 years old. He is older than both Bo and Vlad and Manoah. And he just came up a month and a half ago. Aaron Judge was a rookie at 25 years old. Like, yeah, Vladdy's frustrating and he's hitting some ground balls, but like, let's reel it in a little bit and appreciate what we've got. Because Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. are superstars that if they were available on the market, every single one of these teams would be lined up to make pitches to them. I don't think this is one thing, and maybe you want to touch on this a little bit, Adam, but our talk we had with David Sampson and just how he framed mega contracts, which basically was, for the most part, they never work out for the team.
Yeah, that's, I mean,
look at what David Sampson's big mega contract was, Giancarlo Stanton. And Yankees fans curse his name and wish that he wasn't on their books for another 6 years every day.
Yeah, I mean, Fernando Tatis, mega deal. How's that working out? Padres fans, let me know.
Yeah. And I mean, again, Tatis is probably going to have MVP moments in his career, and that there are going to be years in that contract where people are very grateful that Fernando Tatis Jr. is on
Albert Pujols. How's that deal? How did that deal work out? I mean, that was a big deal. That was an overpay. The production was certainly, they paid for years that had already happened in that deal. Garrett Cole.
Buddy, I was just going to say, let's go
New
with
York. Like the list is just endless of all these mega long deals. About 3 years in, you recognize that was a mistake.
And I love that you brought up Garrett Cole, because that's probably the mega contract that is working out the best. And it's still not really a home run by any means. There's still a lot of like collar tugging and being like, oh, I don't know, right?
Well, every time he has a slump, like a 4-game stretch where he doesn't have it, you know, what Kevin Gossman's currently going through, it's impossible to not look ahead and go, we have 8 more years of this.
Yes.
You know? So, like, as much as Vladdy's having an off season right now, imagine the anxiety that goes into watching this kind of a season in year 2 of a 15-year deal.
By the way, if you're asking me right now and I'm making the decision, do we sign Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
100%.
to a 10-year, 100%. It's not my money, 100%.
Of course.
But if you're just asking what is the actual chances of this happening, I'm not sure. I mean, look at this front office. If they were to do a mega deal like that, it would be the first time in Toronto Blue Jays history that they've done a deal like this. This would be groundbreaking organizationally. And I mean, even if you look at the longest contract that they have ever signed, which is Jose Barrios at 7 years, there is an opt-out after 5. And a very, I wouldn't say it's a possible opt-out because it's a player option. And a lot of that money is backloaded. So, like, there's $28 million waiting a year for Jose after the 5 years. So most likely he's going to stay a Toronto Blue Jay. But there is that opt-out, right? So does this organization, does Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins have the balls, or forget about even that? Forget about the moxie to do it. Do they even have the in their playbook? Like, is this even something that goes against how they feel about building a team? It might.
I mean, it really paints the roadmap for the future, and future with a capital F when you're talking a 10, 15 million, 10, 15 year deal. Look, the down year, I think, if anything, makes it harder to sign Vladdy, because
he's going to wish his 2021 value for sure.
He's going to say, look, I put up 48 home runs. I led the MLB in home runs. Look at my OPS. Like, look at what my capabilities are, right? And that's his starting off point. Unless the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays should be able to just view this season as a, like, sophomore slump, if you will.
Yeah.
And just look past that and go, yeah, like, the potential's there. This is a guy who could hit 50 home runs, more, give or take 10, basically 8 of the next 10 years, right? With confidence, you'd say that. Look into Bo Bichette and a possible contract extension with him this offseason. I think that one's even less likely than Vladdy.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And I would say that the shape of how this season has gone is a big reason in that, because I think we all spent the first 5 months of the season, well into August, thinking like, the Bo's cost himself a lot of money this year. Right? Because we went into last season, talking twin contracts for these two. Right? And the way the first 5 months of this season went, nobody was saying that was realistic for Bo anymore.
It's funny what a fire September will do for your numbers, though.
It's been 15 games.
It's
right?
insane.
It's insane.
It's insane.
But this is where the struggle is in contract talks this offseason, right? Is if you are Shapiro and Atkins and you go to that table, you're not going to that table with a contract in your duotang that starts with a 3, are you?
No.
But if you're Bo Bichette, are you even sitting down if that duotang opens and it starts with like a 1 or a 2? Because for me,
I guess it depends on term, but I'm with you.
For me, the mentality of Bo Bichette goes, look what I did in September. Right? Like, look at when I'm firing on all cylinders, look what I'm capable of doing. I'm a $300 million man. And then
in the biggest moment, that's another thing, right? You can spin that.
Right. But then the response is, yeah, we saw what you did in September, but did you see what you did in the 5 months before that?
Because you were an average player.
Right? So there's no way Bo Bichette signs an extension this offseason. Because he's betting on himself at that value that he's been showing for the last, 2 weeks. And like, I'm glad it's here. And I hope this is the Bo Bichette of the future. I hope he continues it for a full 162 next year. And then they can sign him and everybody can be happy and we can all overspend and get our Bo Bichette jerseys and hang them up on the wall.
That's
I would love for that. But a 2-week sample size, you just know the agent's going to be in his ear. Right?
As he should be.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's saying, look, Bo, do not sign that $185 million contract that they're offering. Hold out. Like, you keep just putting up seasons like this where you're like average for 5 months and elite for 1 month. I can get a team like the Texas Rangers, as we've seen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the LA Angels after they move on from Otani or whatever. There's going to be teams that are willing to say, yeah, we see what Bo can do in these small samples. And we think, everybody has the hubris to think, yeah, we can channel that. We can get We can get 5 months of this out of the guy. We have the magic pill. We have that tart cherry juice.
The thing with ending a season strong, too, is it's so easy for the player to be like, I figured it out.
Yeah, recency bias for sure, too, right? So, but yeah, I figured 100%. It out at the end, and then you got a whole off season to forget what you figured out.
So we can move on from here, but if you're going to give a betting percentage, you're putting a little money down. What percentage do you think the likelihood is of a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. extension this offseason?
This offseason, I would say it's between like 10 and 25%.
Okay.
I don't think it's a no chance. I think Bo is a no chance. I think
Bo's a zero.
I think Vladdy could sign an extension if they're willing to give him the mega deal based on last year's numbers.
Yes.
I don't think they are, but I think if they are, that it could get done.